Are you guys wanting to write your $1 million message? Well, I have Aurora Winters here. You need to listen to this episode. Phenomenal interview. She really helps you to get your message out there in a book, but not just that. She also, while she's working with you, you start to record podcasts, getting all of this publicity and this way of getting your name and book and idea out there so that you can start monetizing and growing your business. This was so good, and I know you are going to love this episode. Here we go. What's up, people? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Today, I'm excited because we're gonna really tap into the power of storytelling and the ability to transform lives and businesses. So, I got somebody here for y'all. Okay, this is the incredible Aurora Winter, MBA and award-winning, best-selling author, a founder of SamePagePublishing.com. Aurora is also the creator of Spoken Author Method, which this is what she uses to help countless people turn their ideas into award-winning books. Now, I know I speak to a lot of y'all, so I know you're out here trying to write your book and, get on stages and do all this amazing stuff. And she was once a successful TV executive, and Aurora chose to leave the corporate world and to build a life of freedom, creativity, and contribution. And now she's on a mission to help all of y'all. So pay attention, okay? She is here to help you share your story, create books, things that are worth talking about. So get ready. Here we go. Aurora, welcome to Straight Talk. How are you?
I'm awesome. It's great to be on the show with you, and I'm looking forward to rocking and rolling and delivering great content to your audience today.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I have a lot of energy coming through the screen. I get it. I get it. It's the ADHD, Aurora. I can't help it.
I love your energy. It's amazing, Nina.
Thank you. I'm really glad you're here. I wrote my autobiography some time ago, and it was tough, and I did it by myself, and I auto published it and the whole thing. And then sometimes when I read, I'm like, Lord, this has to be redone. But I'm really glad you're here, Aurora. So first, I want to start off with knowing a little bit more about you. You have a really beautiful, colorful background and all of that great stuff. So tell us about who you are.
Well, I'll get to that in just a sec. But see, Nina, you would have benefited from the spoken author process. Most first-time authors spend 3.5 years writing their book, and then they struggle to publish it, get awards, and there's a whole process.
Yeah.
But most people have no problem talking about what they're passionate about. And so
Yeah.
it's so much faster to write a book by being interviewed, which is what I do at Same Page
Ooh, I
Publishing with
like
the
that.
spoken author method. Most people can talk 8,000 words an hour, no problem. Most people cannot write 8,000 words in a week.
Right, right. It's so true. That's so
Yeah,
true. My
so
husband, my husband would agree with you, actually.
you're a talker for sure. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I express my creativity through books, through movies, and through businesses. I think I've launched a new business every decade of my life. I started my first business in my 20s, sold it for 6 figures. In my
Nice.
20s, I had $1 million in my business bank account. And I looked at my husband and we're like, whoa, should we just run away? No, of course, we didn't
Right,
run away to
right.
Tahiti, and launched multiple businesses. And what I discovered is every time I hit a roadblock, the solution was not work harder, work
Mm,
longer, spend more on advertising.
mm.
The breakthrough was created through communication. So if you're hitting a roadblock or if you'd like to 10x your income, why not really listen to this episode and take notes? Because there will be some writer downers coming up soon. And communication, the right words at the right time to the right people, can 27x your income, not
Wow.
2x,
Wow.
not 10x, 27x.
Yeah.
So communicating is a superpower that most people have not finally developed. So why not listen up, get some tips, and
Mhm.
increase your income and impact with the right words?
That's so true, right? I think that's why, you know, people like you who are professionals in this and copywriters and stuff are worth their weight in gold because they have such a way of showing your business or your idea or whatever to the world in this creative way. And I also love the way you talked about you know, the burnout stage because that's happening a lot, Aurora. Like people are just feeling completely overwhelmed and burnt out.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, speaking to some leaders. I've been doing like research in leadership. I like leadership. And I've been, you know, women are leaving the corporate world in
Hmm.
droves, right? And I think it's the same thing. It's the burnout thing, not knowing what to do next, not knowing where to go. People are burning out by writing their books. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of that. And so, I mean, is that what happened to you in the corporate world? Because I know I read a little bit about you leaving the corporate world. Why leave it? What happened?
Well, exactly right. It was burnout. You know, I'm a widow, so I am a single mother. And when I was a film and television executive, I had a very, responsible job, but I was working alongside men who had full-time wives who made sure that, the kids were looked after, the house was looked after. So they were putting in 80 hours a week. So I needed to put in 80 hours a week, and I
Mhm,
just
mhm.
hit the wall. And also in corporate America, it's generally understood that you need to put in more and more and more hours, but when you are an entrepreneur, you get paid for the results you deliver,
Mhm,
not for the
mhm.
amount of time you put in. So the corporate world can seduce you into erroneous thinking that it's the amount of time you put in. Actually, $1 million idea can occur like that. So why
Right.
not look for the breakthrough ideas? And if you're hitting your head against the wall, double down on communication. So I think most people are familiar with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, but just,
Mhm.
just to recap quickly, 20% of your activities produce 80% of your income. I
Mm.
invite people to double down on that. So, of that top 20% of high payoff activities, it could be paying off an income or impact or health or relationship, but let's just look at income for the moment. Why not take 20% of that 20%? That is 4% of your activities will produce 64% of your income. So
Wow.
more than half of your income is produced by just 4% of the things that you are doing. And I propose to you that that 4% is communication. Let's look at Steve Jobs as an example. He practiced his Apple pitches for 3 weeks. And I'm sure
Mhm.
he's got a lot more or had a lot more on his to-do list than any one of us has on our to-do list today. But it was worth his time to practice where to stand, how to modulate, which words to emphasize, what visuals to put behind it, in order to create a frigging buying frenzy. And
Yeah.
I'm here today because I think most leaders and entrepreneurs and even managers, or even everybody, do not allocate the appropriate amount of time to communication. You can find your best stories, refine them, practice them, get them so that they are little gems that you are ready to share at the drop of a hat. And this can increase your productivity, your profit, your impact. It can even help you negotiate a raise. So it's such a valuable skill.
It really is, right? Because you're right. I think as you were talking about that and Steve Jobs and all, I used to watch the presentations. I don't watch them anymore, but I used to watch them, right? Because he was so dynamic.
Hmm.
And I mean, you're right. The buying frenzy was kind of crazy. People would sit out the night before with a tent for a phone. Are you kidding me? But that's what they would do, right? So it tells you something about the brand, the way they show up, the way it's presented, right? And so I know that you are, you know, helping people with that, right? So I love what you said in the beginning. Like it's this interview style thing, right? It's that form of communication where you are. I'm just. I don't want to tell people what you do. I want you to tell them. Is it that you're taking their words and then communicating that in a more powerful way than they're just saying it, or explain that piece to me?
Okay, I think there are multiple things that happen. So, what happens when people are writing a book or when they're speaking? The best way to refine your message is actually to speak it out loud with somebody who's really listening. There's
Hmm.
something
Hmm.
about somebody actively listening that creates an alchemy. I don't know, in the Bible it says, wherever two or more are gathered in my
Gathered. Yeah.
And so there's something about both
Yeah.
being on the same page. That's why my publishing company is called Same Page Publishing, because I get on the same page as my client and I pull their gold out of them. Firstly, it's fine if they just ramble, but then I pull that gold out of them. I listen, actively ask questions, and we discover what they want to say. Most
Mm.
people think, oh, I need to know what I want to say before I start writing a book. No, actually, the process of writing the book, especially working with the spoken author method, helps you discover what are the most important things that you want to say. Because usually when we think we're going to write a book, we have the surface level. We see, okay,
Mhm.
well, I'm going to write a book. It's going to be a memoir, or I'm going to write a book about how to help people with communication. But as we talk it through, we go deeper and deeper, and we discover, or I help people discover, hey, there was an interesting story that happened to you. But what are the takeaway values from that? How could somebody else take that story, which
Yeah.
is a great,
Yeah.
compelling story, and use that in their own life? So we want to expand the value while compressing the amount of time that it takes. So
Mhm.
with my clients, they work on it, think it through, and then we create transcripts from the audios. So what's great is they basically get a podcast like episode with video and audio for every chapter of the book. So we can
Wow.
start the process of marketing the book while it's still being written.
That's
So this is
powerful.
a breakthrough, because we'll have hundreds or even thousands of pieces of social media content
Yeah.
about this topic even before the book comes out. And of course, the book is more polished. A book is polished prose, but people really enjoy listening to podcasts, which are more humanity, more
Mhm.
authentic, more
Mhm.
doubling down on the conversation. So while most people are just in 3.5 years, the average first time author creates one book. in,
Mhm.
in about a year, we create thousands of pieces of social media content. We create a best selling, award winning book that helps somebody build their brand and their business.
Damn, that sounds good. Damn, that sounds
Yeah.
really good. I love this. Okay, because my brain was like pew 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 pew, like going off. Okay, because I remember I mean, I had my book in my heart for many, many years, right? I have coming from a lot of trauma and abuse and all those things, and the lessons that I've learned and how strong I am today, and all those things I attribute to all of those hardships in my life. But when I was writing the book, I was writing it very much alone, Aurora, right? So
Mm,
what I did is I had a mind map, and I just did the mind map and I mapped it out, and then I wrote the book, right? And I now, yeah, I wrote the book in 2018, so it's been some time, but I wrote the book, and a lot of people came to me talking about how effective it was to have them come out with this trauma that happened to them. But
mhm.
one thing I missed, and I know now I missed it, was the what you just talked about, the what did you learn from it? What are the tools from it? What are the resources that you could have pulled from that? And there's sometimes still, like, I'll be brushing my teeth and an old story will come to my mind that I never added to the book, that kind of thing. And I think with someone like you, asking the deeper questions, getting into it with that person really will then start to reveal all of the hidden stories and not just the surface stories. I absolutely love
Exactly
that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly right. Well, maybe it's time to do a second edition on
Yeah.
that 2018 book and add more to it, or write another book. I mean, a lot of authors
Yeah.
come up with a new book every year because they've got more to say,
Right.
right?
Right.
So there are 4 brain dominances, and most people communicate 1 or 2 in their
Mhm.
book. Without coaching, they usually fail to communicate 3 and 4, which means that they're missing the communication that would be well received by half the population. And it's
Mhm.
it's not
Mhm.
that hard to add. It just doesn't occur to people. So one of the things I really love to do, I mean, the reason that I wrote Turn Words into Wealth is it made me so sad that people would spend such a long time writing their book and then they would drop the ball right at the finish line. They
Mm.
might miss communicating in the 4 different brain dominances. So they had a great message that if only they'd said X, somebody would have gone, oh, now the penny
Yeah.
drops, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the other things that people miss is they don't test the title, they don't test the subtitle, they don't test the image, they
Mhm.
don't have a
Mhm.
call to action, they don't understand that a great book is the beginning of a relationship. what else will people want? So they fail usually to think through inviting people to their website with a compelling reason to go
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
with
yeah.
a gift
Mhm.
to start to
Mhm.
continue the relationship. And they fail
Mhm.
to mention, hey, here's what I do. Here's how I help people. Here are the success stories of my clients. Or
Mhm.
here's what I'm passionate about. I'm available as a speaker, consultant, trainer, whatever they do. So it is such a shame that people
It
miss out
is.
that. So, I mean,
It
people
is.
can read Turn Words into Wealth. They can actually read it for free. If they go to turnwordsintowealth.com, they'll get the free ebook and a bunch of videos explaining how to attract capital clients
I
and
love
media
that.
coverage. Yeah, because I
Mhm.
really want, I mean, I've made all of these mistakes, but fortunately, I started publishing in 2005. So
That's so
people,
good.
I can give people the benefit of avoiding the mistakes that I've made and instead publish best-selling award-winning books that make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? Because, like it's interesting because everybody says to, I've spoken to people and they're like, you know, my goal in 2025 is to be on more stages, right? Whether it's virtual stages or physical stages. And people are like, are you going to sell your book? And immediately my mind goes, well, I don't know if it would align. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it would, because I didn't add those kind of strategies or those kind of call to actions or anything. Because in 2018, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking I want a cathartic, I wanted to be cathartic and just like pull all of this stuff that was, holding me back and hurting me for so long out on pages. And that's what I did. Right.
Well, it
So,
sounds like you'd be well served by a new book that
yeah.
addresses, 2025 Nina, not 2018
Yeah.
Nina. So
Exactly.
I've written 10 books, not counting the ones that I've ghost written or helped publish. And my first book was a memoir. And it was super valuable. It was transformative for me to write it, and it
Hmm.
transformed the lives of many people who read it. But you and I continue evolving as
Yeah.
human beings, and we have more than one book in us. I think many people have a dozen books in them.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
why not write them the fast and easy way by having somebody interview you?
Yeah, yeah, I think that is a phenomenal way to do it. I don't think I've ever had anybody approach it that way on my show before, and so you're blowing my mind a little bit. My mind is like, "Yes, and yes, and yes."
Yes.
Right?
Well,
So self
what I love to do with people is first decide, okay, what do we want this book to do for you? So, for example, in your case, Nina, we want a book that would be aligned with the keynotes that you're giving in 2025. We want a book that people who loved your keynote just cannot wait to get the book because it's got even more
Right,
of Nina. And we
right,
want that book to also be a very powerful catalyst for people to hire you to do another talk or a workshop or a consulting or whatever the other things are that you're doing. And we also want to invite people to come to Straight Talk with Neena Perez so that they don't miss out on your podcast. So we want the book to be a strong invitation into your
right,
community. And then when you are delivering your keynotes, I mean, maybe there are 10 points in your book, but maybe your keynote only delivers five because that's, you've only got an hour or 90 minutes or however much time you have. And then in the keynote itself, you would say, well, I've got the 10 points in my book, name the title of your book, which has a strong, clear benefit for people reading it.
right, right,
And then even sometimes you may consider the possibility of when people hire you to do your keynote, say, hey, my book is normally $20, but why not get one for every person in this 500-person audience? And I'll give it to you at wholesale, $10.
mhm,
But if you're selling $10 books to 500 people, that's added $5,000 to your speaker fee. Or if your speaker fee is $35,000, you could give that as a bonus and then
right,
say it's a $10,000 bonus because 500 books at a $20 retail value is
right,
a big bonus. So there's ways to make these work together,
mhm, mhm.
and to create it in a fast and fun way. Especially you're so dynamic and energetic. It'd be fun to interview you, and it'd be very quick to make your book.
Yeah, that's so fun. I really love the whole idea and the concept. And a lot of people who listen to the show are like CEOs and coaches and, things like that. And I know a lot of them are writing books because I speak to a lot of them. And
Hmm.
so, do you see a theme? Do you see something happening in the new year in this time that we're in where you're seeing more of a certain type of book emerge. Like, I know last year I felt like I was getting hit every 5 minutes with an AI book,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true.
So I'm just like wondering what 2025 looks like, because I know that in the coaching world, what I'm noticing is more authenticity and more vulnerability is the theme for 2025. Like, people are really wanting to just connect with another human, right? And I think it's because we got so hit the last couple of years with so much AI and so much artificial intelligence, so much stuff going on, that I think people are just like, can I just have a normal conversation with a real human being,
Well,
right?
I think
So
exactly right, Nina. So I would suggest the theme for 2025 is to double down on being human. You know, Joanna Penn is the one who coined that phrase, so I'll give her
I
a
really
shout out.
like that.
So,
Mhm.
double down on being human means that your stories matter. It means
Mhm.
that just information is not what people are looking for.
Mhm.
You can get a completely drowned in information on Google or ChatGPT,
Seriously.
but nobody else
Yeah.
has your stories. Nobody else has had your hardships. Nobody else has the ahas that helped you get out of the challenging situations that you've been out of. So
Right.
now more than ever before, our stories really matter. And not only your stories, but the stories of your clients whose lives you have changed. And in fact, you can even take stories from other people, such as I sometimes tell people the story about David Goggins, who wrote the book Can't Hurt Me.
Mhm.
When he was about to publish that book, he met with a New York agent, and the agent said, if you self-publish this book, you'll be lucky if you sell 5,000 copies. And that really gave David Goggins pause, and he's like, well, maybe I shouldn't self-publish. But he decided to independently publish, and he worked with a writer because he's not a writer, he's dyslexic. And mainly he did that not to make more money, but because he didn't want to lose control of
Mhm.
his own life story.
Mhm.
But the result was, because he was getting all of the revenue from the book, it was worth his time to really market it. And when it came out the first year, he sold 1 million copies, not $1 million, 1 million copies of the
Wow.
book, and 600,000 copies of the audiobook just in the first year. So if he had gone with a big publisher, they would have taken the lion's
Yeah, yeah.
share of that.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
probably would have cost him more than $20 million if he had not independently published. And
Yeah.
now he's got control of it, and he's got the revenue from it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think David Goggins is a great example for all of us. Personally, I believe that the traditional publishing model is the old way. It's a
Yeah.
dinosaur. Unless you get a six-figure advance, it will not work out better for you.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
my
No, it's
advice.
true.
But
Yeah.
if you are an entrepreneur, a leader, a coach, a freelancer, if you have any back end income at all, or even if you can be a paid public speaker, why not keep control of your intellectual property?
Mhm. Mhm. That's really brilliant. So take me to what happens when people come to you, right? Because you just mentioned everybody who listens to the show. Coaches, CEOs, freelancers, like they're everybody who listens to the show. So take me through that process. So they're hearing this and they're like, "Oh my god, this is what I want to do." Because you also mentioned the traditional publishing, which I was going to ask you about that. If you're into the traditional publishing, or publishing yourself and all that. So I really want to know more about what you do. So tell me, if someone's listening, they're going to contact you. They want to start this process. Give me that journey.
Okay, so I'll walk through the journey. I actually am an example of somebody who uses a book as part of their marketing. So, what usually happens is people read my book, Turn Words into Wealth, which they can get wherever books are sold, or they can get it for free at turnwordsintowealth.com. And then, if people say, well, Aurora is describing the kind of person I am, I'm an ambitious leader, expert, or entrepreneur, and I would like VIP one on one help to get my book done the fun and fast way through the spoken author
Right.
method. Then they would sign up for a business breakthrough call with me at bookcall.biz, and we'd have a chit chat, see if it's a good fit. Then the next thing we do is I have an MBA and I've launched multiple businesses. So I always like to start with the end in mind. So we strategically think, What do you want this book to do for you? What would be your ideal outcome? Who is your ideal reader? What problems does your ideal reader have? What problems do you solve? What are the myths that keep people from hiring you or working with you, or that keep them stuck in this problem?
Mm.
So we gather this information together. I call this the discovery process. And then I do like a mini feasibility study. So we say, okay, the working title for your book would be something along this line. It's going to be in this category in Amazon. Here is the data on other books in that category in Amazon. And we see, oh, is there a little something missing in that category? Is there something that we could do that's very high demand, or but a little bit maybe one step, like the Neena Perez flavor of that? So, for example, I would research similar-ish books or similar topic books and say, let's move more towards this other direction because those books are not selling. Or I'd say, wow, this author is making $1 million a month selling books on that
Mm.
similar topic. So we would look at best-selling books like Atomic Habits or You Are a Badass or whatever might be a
Right.
similar-ish
Right.
book to theirs. And then at the end of that discovery process, we have a blueprint. We have a blueprint for what kind of book do we want to write? What is the goal? What is the ideal outcome this book will achieve? What problems will it solve for the reader? What is our draft title? We'll test the title a little bit later in the process as we get closer to publishing. What would be maybe a quick outline for the 10 chapters that would be in this book? What are some examples of books that are selling really well in this category? And what is the invitation to play with me more? Like, you want to hire Neena as a speaker, or you want to hire this person as a coach, or you want to come into their business as a dentist, or whatever the case may be. So then we have that whole plan. And then usually people say, well, would you help me execute that plan? But they don't have to. They can go ahead and do that themselves. And I almost always they say, yes, would you please just interview me and do that? And then what happens is we've got these, say, 10 chapters. And then we brainstorm, what are the questions? What are your best stories? So I understand them. And I give them the questions in advance. So we're going to talk about, for this one chapter that's on the topic A, I'm going to give you these questions. You're going to tell me your great stories. What are the
Awesome.
takeaways? You're going to also give me a quote or two that you really like, or another book or expert that you really like on this topic to add even more value to your book. And then we do the interview, just like this. And it's fun, it's engaging, it's their passion, their everyday words, their voice, their stories. So then we immediately get about a 1 hour podcast episode for each chapter. Then either their team or my team can chop that into small little social media segments of a minute or less, or they could, broadcast the whole thing. And then we've got like a mountain of buzz going
Yeah.
on about their upcoming book. And then we start sharing the message about their upcoming book, which is building their business and income and impact. And then usually my team and I would take the transcript. So we would have 10
Okay.
transcripts from 10 1 hour interviews, for an example. And we would transcribe that and turn it into beautiful prose and, I don't know, add footnotes and research so that it's,
Okay.
more like a book. There's the difference between a podcast and a book is a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
what is so good about the spoken author method is we don't wait for all that work to be finished before my client starts spreading their message. So
Right.
it's really fun. And some examples of books that I've helped produce would be Start with Collaboration by Lois Onstagard. It's an award-winning book. It's got many reviews. I also help people with their fiction books using my background as a film and television writer, producer. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, actually.
Right. That's so
So
cool.
Michael Stockham's book, Confessions of an Accidental Lawyer, has got over 3,000 reviews on Amazon and I think about 50,000 readers, which is a lot for a first book.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It sure the heck
Yeah.
is. I don't have that. So, okay. So, all right. So then when you take the transcripts from the podcast episodes, you're putting the footnotes and everything in. Now, are you then helping take those and actually create the book? So the is the book actually being created? Like,
There
is it
there are different
edited and all that kind of stuff? I'm just trying to figure that
Yeah,
part
yeah.
out.
There are
Yeah.
different ways to work with me.
Okay.
Most people want me to do the next steps, to have it all
Yeah. Okay.
edited, to create the cover, to help them publish their book, like to
Yeah.
take them all the way through. And I also
Okay.
I do an Amazon bestseller launch. So most people also make the mistake of pushing publish and then starting to market their book, and we don't do that
Right.
at Same
Right.
Page Publishing. So what we do is we start applying for book awards before the book comes out. We send the book out to beta readers so that we can get reviews the week the book comes out, because people have had the book already for a couple of
Right.
months. They've had time to read it. So we don't want to launch a book into a market that hasn't already got some buzz going and expectation going. Like, you'll notice best-selling authors like, say, Jordan Peterson, they talk about, or Wayne Dyer, or pick a name. They are talking about their book for a year
Yeah. Yeah.
before it comes out.
Yeah.
Most first-time authors make the mistake of publishing and then marketing. But
Yeah.
at Same Page Publishing, we really put an emphasis on the 3 months before the book comes out. We have to double down on marketing if we want the book to achieve the success it could have. And the
Right.
other thing it's very time sensitive, because Amazon gives a new book a honeymoon period. But that honeymoon period is only about a month. So if you miss it, you
Mm.
have condemned your book to not experience the the organic reach that it could have had. So if a book comes out and has got reviews and awards and purchases, Amazon goes, "Oh, this is a good book. I'll start showing it to other people." If it comes out and nothing happens, then Amazon goes, "Oh, nobody wants to buy this book. I won't bother showing it to people who are looking for something similar."
Mm.
So it's very, very important. I mean, these are all common mistakes, and I mean, it's a whole skill to learn how to
It is.
publish. And
Hell
it's
yeah.
also a skill to learn how to communicate. There's
Yeah.
hidden blueprints
Yeah.
underneath effective communication. I mean, I'm an award-winning screenwriter, so I've studied communication for decades. And
Right.
just because most people can talk doesn't mean that you are a brilliant communicator. The
Mhm.
difference
Mhm.
between a book and just talking is like the difference between walking and ballroom dancing.
Mhm.
Ballroom dancing is choreographed, it is practiced. There is a routine, there is a time constraint. A book is more like ballroom dancing, which doesn't mean that we can't take people from their ordinary, passionate conversation about their topic of expertise and the stories that have happened to them and turn it into a book. That's what
Right.
we do at Same Page Publishing.
Right. Right. So, I know I'm keeping you longer than I just like you so much.
Ah,
Okay,
I
so
like you too.
last question. For those who are, um for those who have written their book already,
Yeah.
right, Aurora? And they're listening to you now like, "I did everything wrong." Like me, I did everything wrong. But I know that many people have done everything wrong. Like, you're right, most of us do press publish and then tell people about the book, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Or maybe we're telling people about the book maybe a month before we're about to publish, right?
yeah.
So, can do you ever recommend for someone who has a good book that they just haven't been able to gain traction to pull it off of the market and then work with you to enhance it, make it better, all of that stuff, and then redo that? Do you ever recommend that, or do you recommend just bringing out a whole new book?
That would be something I would really want to look at the book and see
Okay.
what it's done. So if people have that circumstance where they already have a book, but they've gone, "Oh, shoot, I missed all of those things that Aurora just said," they
Yeah.
can sign up for a business breakthrough call with me at
Okay.
bookcall.biz. But here are a bunch of good news. So if you have a book and you forgot or missed some of these important steps that we're talking about and that I've detailed in my book, Turn Words into Wealth, it is okay. You're a human being, but
Yeah.
you can have a take two. A take two could look like the same book, but a second edition that would
Okay.
require a new ISBN. Or it could look like a similar book, like 80% the same, but a different title and 20% new content. Remember, I talked earlier about the four
Mhm.
brain dominances and most
Mhm.
people missing at least two? We want to add those other brain dominances. We want to add the call to action to what you're up to. And the third thing it could look like is, you know what, instead of trying to, I don't know, paint the walls different in this house that we've built. We just go, that's my first book. Now,
Yeah.
it can be quicker to just do a new book on a
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
topic that has been designed strategically to achieve your goals from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine to have, I think it's great to have multiple books. And also, we don't have to orphan your books. I'm working with a client right now who has 5 books that were just not marketed. So even though the books are great, he has like no awards and no reviews and no sales. So I'm
Right.
working to help him achieve that. And I'm helping him with his new book, which we're not going to do that way.
Right, right. Oh man, Aurora, you are like a fresh air to me. You're like a breath of fresh air to me. I absolutely adore you and I love what you're doing. I really, really do. And I'm grateful that we met and I'm grateful that you came on the show because I know that everybody who's listening is like, shit, I did it wrong the
It's
whole
not
time.
too late. It's
It's not
not
too
too
late.
late.
Aurora says it's not too late. Okay, Aurora. Now, just really quick, because we're going to wrap up, just how can people find, I know that you mentioned it, but I just want them to have it. How can people find you and work with you? Because it is, you're gold. You're complete
Oh,
gold.
thanks,
So
Neena. Well, I love
yeah.
you too. This has been fun. People can grab my book, Turn Words into Wealth, Blueprint for Your Business Brand and Book on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Or if you'd like to get the free ebook from me, you can go to turnwordsintowealth.com and you'll get the free ebook. And you'll also get a video masterclass on how to attract capital, clients, and media
Love it.
coverage absolutely for free. And then after you've read the book, if you're like, oh my gosh, I need to work with Aurora and her team at Same Page Publishing, you can sign up for a business breakthrough call at samepagepublishing.com. That's samepagepublishing.com. And you can also see a bunch of people whose books I've assisted them launch. And I would love to help you. It's not too late, but I do want to also be clear. The book, Turn Words into Wealth, is a great resource. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, just read that book and go ahead and do it. But if you're already a successful entrepreneur, expert, or leader who's making, I don't know, mid 6 figures or has a 7 or 8 figure business, then I would be delighted to help you. My commitment is always to make a 10x ROI for my clients on their books. So I typically am not the best choice for somebody who doesn't have a business yet because it's
Mhm,
hard
mhm.
for me to be confident that I can create a 10x ROI if you're writing a poetry book, for example.
Right, right. Thank you so freaking much for being here. Like I
You're
could keep you
welcome.
for hours and hours, but I'm not going to do that. But I'm super grateful. Like you woke me up to a lot of things I didn't know. And because I really do feel in my heart that I have a few more books in there and I just haven't had the tenacity or the I don't know, the time maybe,
The
the want
support.
to. Yeah, I think that's the bigger question, right? The support. Because like
Yeah.
I said, the last one I did by myself, it took me about a year to write and it was super hard and I
Yeah.
cried a lot through it. It was a big
Oh,
process,
yeah.
and I know it could be like way better, but I was glad to go through that cathartic experience. But it also stopped me from writing another book, let me tell you.
Well, the thing is the celebrities, the royalty, the Winston Churchills, they don't write their books. Even David
Exactly.
Goggins didn't write his book. It's easier and faster to delegate, to somebody who
Yeah,
that's their business of
yeah.
doing. So
Yeah.
be
So
glad to
thank
help you with your
you.
next book,
Yeah,
Nina.
yeah. I think yeah. We'll be talking soon, I'm sure. Thank you so much for being here,
All
Aurora. I
right. Bye
appreciate
now.
you. Guys, I love her, right? I know. I'm gonna make sure I link all of her information below because I know you guys are like squirming in your seats because you're like, shoot, I did it all wrong. I gotta speak to Aurora. So I'm gonna make sure I link that below. Man, this is the kind of episode I want you to spread high and wide to everybody because I love experts and I love when they come on here to really show you, hey, listen, this is where you are, but this is where you can be, right? So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. This is Neena Perez, straight talk, no sugar added. Until next time.